Hi everyone, Psychic Medium Jojo Empathic here, and in today's video we're going to be diving deep into the endocrine system. I'm really excited for this topic. We're going to see how the endocrine system relates to spirituality, which is super important. Okay, so please like and subscribe to my channel for more content regarding spirituality and science. Please drop a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback and I'll try to respond to everyone's comments. So when we talk about the endocrine system, we're going to first start by talking about the nervous system, okay? We're going to also get into the circulatory system in a second, and then we'll dive deep into the endocrine system. So let's first start with perception, okay? Because if you watched my previous video on chakras, you'll see how one energy center is connected to another energy center. How when one energy center is imbalanced, it influences an imbalance in another energy center. That's kind of how our body works. Everything is interconnected and our system works together as a whole. So I want to start with the eyes and how we perceive. This is very important. Our perception, our belief systems, our intentions, our thoughts, what we take in is incredibly important in how we perceive it. Some people go through extreme tragedies and they end up overcoming it. They survive horrific car accidents where they're paralyzed from the waist down for many months and they're able to regain their functioning and walk again. And there's others that are in the same situation and maybe have very similar bodies, and maybe one is more stronger than the other. In the one that has the body that isn't as strong has that perception and belief system, and they end up overcoming the tragedy, versus the one that has a stronger body, doesn't have the belief system, and they end up not being able to regenerate. So perception is important. We perceive in through the eyes, through the optic nerve. It goes to the back of the brain, and this is how we process information. The process through the optic nerve is extremely fast. It's actually one of the fastest processes on Earth. Now, our body systems are adaptable, and our autonomic nervous system, which controls the involuntary responses in our body, adapts with fear and stress. You can learn to control how you perceive and are dealing with fear and stress. You're then able to work with your body on a cellular level and get control also of your organs in your system. I want to talk about neuroplasticity. So it was once believed that our brains are not regenerative, and with the new science of our times, we're finding that that is absolutely not true. Our brains are absolutely regenerative by nature. So our brains have this incredible capability to be fluid and adapt and move and change, and this is what we call neuroplasticity. How we work with neuroplasticity is through movement, through training the muscle, training the brain. The more we practice a skill and adapt, we then develop more connections to other parts of our brain. Naturally, it rewires. This chemical change will then bring on a physical change. New connections are made in the brain, and we then become stronger. We then become more adept to our skill. In fact, when you are working out and exercising, your nervous system actually gets stronger before your muscles do. So we are wired to improve, and when we look even closer into the brain, this is through an action potential. Our brains are adaptable. Fear is an adaptation to survival. We sense fear, we then have biological processes to adapt and survive. When our body senses fear, our amygdalas in our brains then sound an alarm, which produces a hormone cocktail. This can dilate your pupils, increase your heart rate, inhibit stomach activity, and send oxygen to your big muscles in your legs to either run or stand still. Our nervous system produces emotions and how we react to them. Sometimes our systems can be overloaded with emotions, causing an overload of hormones. Fear is the dominant sensation. It can prevent us from trying something new and going into new challenges, which is how we ultimately will change. It's how we grow. Nervous system is one of the most protected systems in the body. For example, the spinal column is completely encased to protect spinal fluid, brain fluid, and nerves. This is important because if there's numbness somewhere in your body, it could be a compression of your nerves, causing that reaction. For example, your funny bone isn't necessarily a bone, it's a cluster of nerves, and when there's a compression on the nerves, you then feel the tingling, kind of like you do feel butterflies in your stomach when you're nervous, when you're in that fight or flight. All of the oxygen is running into your legs so that you can either run or stand still. Extreme stress, we have an extreme fear response, and we can actually become paralyzed by the emotion. Emotion will hijack the amygdala, and we then cut off our logic and we run on instinct and emotion. And a lot of your emotional memories are stored right in the amygdala. So we can train different parts of our brain to produce a different feedback. This is what I did when I studied mediumship. I worked on training for an extended period of time, and I still do. You know, your spiritual muscle is something you need to continue to work. If not, you lose it. So it feeds off of training. It feeds off of movement. That's how our body works. That's how our muscles adapt. It's how we stay in homeostasis, by training and working and staying disciplined. And this began to become a skill for me with time. The autonomic nervous system works with involuntary processes within the body. Nerves that control rest and digestion, and we have nerves that control fight or flight. When we're working on training different areas of our brain, we can then work to help bring a balance to digestion, calm anxiety, alleviate stress, and get more in tune with ourselves. Let's jump into the cardiovascular and circulatory systems. The cardiovascular and circulatory systems help to deliver oxygen to cells and tissues around the body, as well as nutrients and hormones. These systems are full of valves, pumps, and tunnels that are so vast, scientists believe that they can actually wrap around the world a few times. Now, the heart is also highly adaptable. We are told that the heart is not regenerative. So cardiovascular cells right now are being studied, actually. Cardiac regeneration is a field that is now being developed. Is it like our brain we were once told it's not regenerative? And I say regenerate. So when there is a lack of oxygen to cells, there can then be cell death within the brain and the heart. Now, your skin, if you were to have cell death, it quickly regrows. It's called regeneration. So we were once told that the heart and the brain is not regenerative, and we are now finding that there's a loophole in there, and this is actually just not true. We do know that the heart is highly adaptable. So the heart also thrives when it is being worked. When you're using the muscles, it strengthens, and it actually does well. When it is being used, it gets stronger. We can also train our system to adapt when oxygen isn't so much available to us. Another thing that's interesting about the heart is it's self-sustaining. It's a self-sustaining organ. So the heart pumps blood to the tissues in the body as well as to itself. When we talk about hormones causing cell death or overload, such as adrenaline, it can actually cause that cell death. We have a lot of oxytocin, our heart is at rest, and we then begin to feel more peace and love. Keeping your body at ease and peace is key for homeostasis and cellular regeneration. Let's go ahead and try to weave this together. The hypothalamus connects the endocrine system and the nervous system. The endocrine system is controlled by the nervous system. Well, the endocrine system helps to keep an internal regulation within the body. The endocrine system sends chemical messages called hormones into the bloodstream that lead to cell functioning, body functioning. Another way to look at it is that hormones are chemical molecules that work as messages throughout the system that tell your cells to operate in a specific way. So hormones dictate everything: your mood, your sleep, how you're digesting, how you feel. And hormones are going to reach every cell in the body and react with cells in the body. Scientists have identified at least 50 different hormones produced by 12 different endocrine glands within the human body. We're not going to go over all of the different hormones, but I will touch on a few really important ones that I want to discuss today. Hormones regulate chemical substances within the body and processes such as metabolism, fluid retention and balance, growth and development, and reproduction. I want to talk about calcium a bit and vitamin D. Calcium is a mineral that is incredibly important for your body's functioning. Calcium is usually associated with healthy bones and healthy teeth. However, it does also play a role in muscle contraction, blood clotting, heart rate, nerve functioning, hormone regulation, and signaling. Now, vitamin D is another big one I want to talk about. This is a hormone produced by the kidneys, and we know it as a vitamin, but it works as a hormone in the body. It's super important to so many different systems, so many different functions, and there's different forms of vitamin D that we can use to help bring optimal functioning. Vitamin D helps with the absorption and retaining of calcium and phosphorus within the body. And according to Harvard, it can help to reduce cancer cells, inflammation. The kidneys make vitamin D and erythropoietin, which regulate a number of functions within the body. Now let's get into the good stuff. Spiritually, how does the endocrine system relate to spirit? Spiritually, the endocrine system is also a messenger, but connects us to our messaging systems to the etheric. Spiritually, the endocrine system connects signals between the physical and the etheric. The endocrine system is determinant of the alignment within your body. And if you're off spiritually, your endocrine system is going to be off. And this knowledge of the endocrine system was known way, way, way back into ancient civilizations. And we can see across the world, ancient civilizations working with the endocrine system for different functioning. Ancient civilizations were known to use herbs, tonics, and foods to work with the endocrine system for different purposes, such as cleansing to heal, and also heightening to connect with the etheric. For example, ancient Egyptians used blue lotus, and also we can see ancients using cannabis as well to help connect you through the pineal gland to the etheric. So let's go ahead and dive into the chakras and the endocrine system cells that work with each chakra. We're going to also look into spiritually how to work with balancing energy and spirit in order to bring a balance into the endocrine system. Dive in. I love this stuff. Okay. So for a lot of you that don't know, I'm known as a medical intuitive, okay? I use my psychic, empathic, and mediumistic abilities to scan the body and to receive messages from spirit, connecting with my knowledge of biology, my higher mind, my past lives to deliver accurate medical intuitive readings. What I'm going to share with you is based on my experience, what I've learned from working with the collective, and what I found is that we are all more alike than we are different. I say this all the time. It's incredible. We all have a body and we all have organs, and we operate off of vitamins and minerals and water and oxygen. And what's important is that we never feel shame when there's an imbalance. We never feel guilt when there's an imbalance, because we all are in a battle. We all are going through it. And a lot of times we do feel shame when there's an imbalance within ourselves. We've got to put that to the side and remember that this is an opportunity to bring a change. This is an opportunity to survive. It's an opportunity to get back into balance. So when something's off, I want you to start listening to your body, because we are naturally wired as a messaging system. Now, we've been disconnected from ancient body symbology, and the symbology that we feel when we hear from spirit as a message is energy. We process it through different parts of our body, and this can feel like a symptom, and a lot of times it goes unnoticed. It gets misdiagnosed, but it's really energy. It's spirit. It's your body telling you. It's the answers to your prayers, and there's no discernment into that is how the message comes through. We think it's going to be this knight in shining armor coming through with the angel wings, an angel coming down looking like a little baby and giving you the answer that you are looking for. It doesn't work like that. Angels are very elusive. They don't necessarily have much of an identity. And to be quite honest, they to me, they look like aliens. They have the long eyes, if there is any, face shown. They're huge beings of light. And so we feel it. We feel their energy as a symptom. Listen to your body when something is off and ask, how do I bring a balance? And then monitor your thoughts and see where you're going. See where your heart leads you. Make sure you're grounded and cleansed before you do this. And know thyself so that you can help thyself. Let's start with the root chakra. So the root chakra is located at the base of your spine. And this energy center is connected to the adrenal glands. It's connected to the urinary tract system. It's connected to excretion out of the body. Okay, so the root is connected to the kidneys, and on top of the kidneys, there's these pyramid-shaped adrenal glands. They react with stress and fear. Spiritually, what I see is if we have a hard time letting go, if we make our past our identity, our traumas our identity, we can then have an imbalance within the adrenals. If we are ran by fear, if fear is just overpowering us and crippling us, we can have an imbalance then in the excretion in our bodies. Adrenals regulate water balance and tissue metabolism. What is metabolism? Because you'll hear me speaking about this a lot in this video. Metabolism is how our body processes energy. If we dive deeper and look into it, it's how we process molecules into ATP, which is how our body runs off of energy. This is happening all throughout the body, and this is our existence. We are here to process energy. We are here to feel energy, essentially, from every cell in our body. We have a cytoplasm in each cell, and within the cytoplasm, there's all of these biological processes that are happening to keep you alive. Stay tuned for my new course that's coming out, Connect with Your Cells, where I help you to connect with your cells, connect with the particles within your body so that you can bring a change to matter and self-heal. Stay tuned. The adrenals also regulate cardiovascular functioning and respiratory activity. So the root, remember, is tied to fear and instinct and survival. So if you're in the state of fear, needing it to always survive, your heart and your breathing will then be affected. Your circulation in your body is then going to be affected. One of the best things you can do for your root chakra is stay rooted and grounded and connect with this center and listen to what this center is telling you. If you're, feeling constipated, if you're having repetitive urinary tract infections, heal your root chakra. I just came out with a chakra balancing guide. You can check that out on my Etsy shop. It's only $12, and I give you the different frequencies as tools to use to help bring a balance to energy centers. Going up into the sacral chakra, this is located right below the belly button. This is tied to the reproductive systems, and in the endocrine system, the gonads. So with females, it's the ovaries, and males, it's the testes. This is an energy center that has to do with your identity and your self-expression. So spiritually, if you are not able to express yourself in your authentic way, if you don't know your authentic expression, you don't know your identity, you're trying to find who you are, you're not tapped into your creative spirit, your creatrix or creator energy, source energy, then you can have an imbalance within the reproductive system. A lot of times we hold trauma in this energy center, sexual trauma in this energy center, and then it directly affects our identity and how we self-express. To balance the sacral chakra and the reproductive system hormones associated with the testes and ovaries, it's important that you stay true to you. If you want to identify in a certain way, it's important that you do. And you don't hold back just because society tells you that's not the way to identify. Making sure that you're expressing yourself from a place of love and compassion will help balance this energy center and your hormones around this energy center. Why? Because that's the truest expression of your essence. I want to talk about how we give this energy center away. This is the energy center tied to sex. So a lot of times I see cords, ropes, chains to this energy center to other people. People that aren't even in their lives anymore, people that have been long gone for decades. Their energy is still within the sacral chakra, causing a blockage, leading to a physical manifestation of disease such as an ovarian cyst, tumors, fibroids, heavy chronic bleeding in with uterine bleeding. So we need to clear that out and keep it authentic, keep it true. We need to protect our sacral chakra, our sacred sexual energy, in order to have a balance within the gonads. These hormones are really going to dictate how you're feeling as well. Moving up into the solar plexus, this energy center has to do with filtration. It's tied to the pancreas in the endocrine system. The pancreas regulates blood sugar activity, your glucose and insulin levels. Now, the solar plexus is tied to the I am, okay? So if you feel out of control of your will, you may have imbalanced solar plexus. You may have an imbalance with digestion, your pancreas, how your body's filtering. Basically, you're saying spiritually is, I am not fulfilled. I am not happy. I am perhaps confused. I don't belong. this energy is going to cause a blockage into the solar plexus. Then you're going to have an imbalance with metabolism, with filtration throughout your body. It's almost like everything's slowing down because you're not as connected to your oneness, your body and spirit. It's more of a disconnect between the spirit and the body. So everything in filtration slows down. People that are in a chronic state of unhappiness, feeling unfulfilled, being not disciplined, no control of their will start to see tumors around the solar plexus. The solar plexus is right above the navel, and I always think of the solar plexus like a bright yellow powerhouse of your body, your core. In Pilates, they call it like your upper abs, your abdominals, your powerhouse. So if you don't have a balanced solar plexus, you're not in control of the will, and you're not happy, this is an energy center that'll be affected. A lot of times we see severe alcoholics with cirrhosis of the liver. That is connected to the solar plexus. Your will, your discipline, addictions, is all tied spiritually and physically to the solar plexus. When I first started giving medical intuitive readings, I want to share this. A lot of times I'll hear pancreas as a symbol. So spirit speaks in symbol. They're not always direct. And a lot of times it takes work to get to the full sentences and to get into that frequency of high vibration to even hear it. Remember, our ears can't always hear certain frequencies, and that's all that mediumship is you've got it turned on or off. You're a channel. So when I first started to see a collective message of pancreas imbalance, I had this one client. She ripped me a new one. She was having liver imbalances, and I mentioned her pancreas and how this was tied to her will, and she said, "Oh, my pancreas? Yeah, right." She said, "I'm having liver problems. I'm surprised you couldn't even see that." So skeptics, they end up blocking their own blessings. They end up blocking their own truth, and they'll blame the healer who's trying, and they just don't really have the discernment and it's all interconnected. So although I was right in the right energy center, and more likely she is having imbalances with metabolism, digestion, and her discipline, her will, we don't really think of the pancreas too often, and it's so important. And we're going to get into toxins that affect the endocrine system at the end of this video, and a lot of the things we're ingesting really go through our mouths and down into our digestive systems, which are absolutely affected by the pancreas. Going up into the heart space, into your heart chakra, located right in the center of the chest. The heart chakra is your gateway to the etheric realm. Okay, so when I'm connecting and channeling, I get into my heart and into my third eye. A lot of times when I do intuitive healing and balancing, I connect people's hearts with their mind's eye so that people are thinking from a place of love. This will help you to be thinking from a place of love and thinking from your more authentic, high vibrational light self. In the endocrine system, the heart chakra is related to the thymus. The thymus regulates lymphocytes and the lymphatic system, your immune system, how your body is responding through antibodies when there is an infection. So spiritually, if your heart space is off, if you are not rooted in unconditional love, you may have immune disorders. You may have an autoimmune disorder. We need to also really protect the heart space. This is a space I see often attacked from other people, or communication from other people. I see that as sometimes the way we process it is like an attack. People's words, it hurts the heart. Then we've got a decreased immune system, and then we're not able to fight off infections as well, and we start to slowly spiral out to a state of extreme imbalance. Remember that you are an embodiment of love. You are an extension of source, and so if you aren't in that space, then there could be an imbalance with your immune system. Going up into the throat chakra, right in the middle of the throat. This endocrine system gland is the parathyroid and the thyroid. The thyroid regulates metabolic rates and calcium regulation. The thyroid regulates metabolic rate and calcium levels. Parathyroid regulates calcium levels. Spiritually, when the throat chakra is off balance, your spirit is not always speaking through your vessel. Okay? So the throat chakra is tied to speaking your truth, walking in your authentic truth. Now, when we see imbalances here, we want to stop and make sure that we're speaking from us, from a place of love, from our higher minds. When there's an imbalance spiritually, there may be energy or spirits interfering with your personal truth. There may be an entity in your energy field or within rising up at certain times and speaking through you. A lot of times we do see this with chronic drug use and alcohol use. When people become intoxicated, spirits begin to rise up and speak through the throat. A lot of times after a big night of drinking, many people will say, oh, that wasn't me speaking. People will notice other people and say, your eyes were different, your mouth changed. And this is an example of an imbalanced spirit affecting your voice box. Within the third eye chakra, I connect the third eye with the pineal gland. The pineal gland controls your day and night activities, and this is known as your circadian rhythm. Pineal gland works off of light, and it's like a lens. So when there is no light and it's dark, your pineal gland will produce melatonin. And when the sun starts to rise and the lights are on, the melatonin will slow down and you'll wake up. Spiritually, when the third eye is off balance, we are disconnected from reality. More likely, when your third eye is imbalanced, you're more left brain, you're more logical, and you're more doing the motions of the 9 to 5, what society tells you to do. And also, it's a choice to not see. So this can be a disconnect spiritually between yourself and your body, and you may not be able to perceive the reality of the situation. You may not be able to notice, hey, there's a spirit in the room that is lower, and maybe we should work on getting it out. And that also can come from fear. People don't want to see that because they're afraid of it. So we'll just ignore and act like it's not there. But then all of a sudden you're starting to not walk in truth. And remember, you vibrate and are at homeostasis in truth. And so then there is a disconnect with your eyes, what you're seeing, how you're perceiving. And remember, your perception is very important, because just like my example with the person that was in a tragic car accident that was able to then walk again, and the person that was not. So this is all about intuition, is all about survival. Your spirit is all about survival, and essentially so is your body as well. Going into the crown chakra, I connect this to the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. The pituitary controls all of the other endocrine glands. So when the pituitary is off, you've got the whole system imbalanced. The pituitary regulates growth and fluid balance. Spiritually, if the crown is off balance, if you're channeling in more lower or negative frequencies, a lot of people are unaware of it, but if you are, then your whole system can be off whack. We are here with a crown to channel light. We are here with a crown to communicate with the light. And this is what keeps the whole system at balance. So if your crown is off spiritually, there's a lack of knowing. There's a lack of certainty for the reality and truth of life and spirit. We then tend to see a lot of brain dysfunction, serious mental illness, are unable to make decisions for themselves. They're not able to connect with the divine. All of our systems within our bodies are connected to spirit. When we are healing ourselves, we want to look at the energetic and spiritual imbalances to help balance the physical body. Healing isn't typically talked about in that way. Healing in our modern day world, we are programmed to see a doctor and begin medications that a lot of times have a lot of chemicals, man-made particles, carcinogens. By definition, are man-made particles known to cause cancer. So it begins to leave residue in our system, in our cells, and then we have another systematic imbalance from the medication use, okay? I want to get into toxins that target the endocrine system. You'll hear me talk about biological warfare a lot. I don't see it like doom and gloom. I actually see it as the reality of what's going on. For example, if we walk into a grocery store, we can see that everything is massively produced and in packaging. That's called biological That's biological processing, that's biological interference. So we have plastics in our environment which are full of particles that cause disease. There is a systematic control to disconnect the physical and the etheric. Why? Because if people are connected as one, then people are more limitless in their abilities, and there's not much profit in that. There's not much profit in you being able to self-heal you. There's not much profit in your higher consciousness leading you to be more sustainable versus going out and needing someone to produce your food for you. So, it's religious indoctrination. When you are more conscious, you realize you're the church, right? You're the temple, and this is the vessel that the spirit lives in and resides. So you honor yourself more. You aren't paying out to other people for guidance, for advice, and for help. You're sustainable, you're sovereign. So biological warfare, chemicals are made in labs, okay? So carcinogens, by definition, are man-made particles that are cancer-causing agents, okay? So these are particles. We've created plastics. They aren't naturally occurring. And we use a chemical called phthalates, and this is something that helps plastics to form, okay? This is a huge endocrine system disruptor. Now, we say, hold on, plastics are all around us. We touch it, we give plastics to our children. This is why in California you see a lot of cancer warnings on a lot of products because of these man-made particles that are everywhere. They block our cells in our glands and disconnect us from the reality of truth. Then will cause a physical imbalance that makes you go pay money to get it fixed. Go pay money to get the treatment to fix it, which then can cause another systematic imbalance. So it's all interconnected both ways. Common products that phthalates are found in: nail polish, toothbrushes, plastic products, vinyl tiles, artificial leathers, aspirin, insecticides that we're spraying on our produce. We eat it, cosmetics, put it right on our face, right over our third eye, and a lot of toys for children. Another toxic man-made particle I want to talk about that blocks the endocrine system is BPA. Bisphenol A, BPA. These are used to make resins and plastics. We usually see BPA in plastic storage containers. So you're putting your food in a container that has the chemicals. And remember, everything is fluid if you watch any of my previous videos. And so that seeps into the food, and then we eat it, and it blocks our endocrine system. We then have an imbalanced hormone somewhere in the body. Toxins are known as like herbicides. So these are things put on in the earth. And if you recently saw one of my TikToks, I put out that even the produce we're eating nowadays is tainted. A lot of people don't choose organic. They don't see much value in it, but it does make a difference. You want to eat produce that has less herbicides, less insecticides and chemicals on it, because your fruit is fruit. A lot of times with hard melons, there's a case, and then you go into the center and eat it. In that case, the shell of the melon, the products in the case seep into the food. But like, think about an apple. You eat that apple that's been directly sprayed with chemicals. It's going to cause an imbalance and a blockage and disruption to the cellular processes within your body, causing a hormone imbalance. You're going to be tired, you're going to be lazy, you're going to feel fatigued, have a headache, nausea, digestive system imbalances. You're not able to reproduce anymore, reproductive imbalances. Man-made particles target our natural functioning, target our reproduction of cells. Remember, it's all about metabolism, fluid retention, reproduction, growth, and development. That's all we are cellularly here to do. And so these chemicals react with it. Just as the hormone reacts with a receptor in the body, so do these chemicals. They're around the same size. These are very, very small particles, chemical messages. Perchlorate is used in pharmaceutical industries. Perchlorate is also found in drinking water. This is why it's really important, so important. If you've had a medical intuitive reading with me, I talk about the quality of water and how important it is, because we're thinking on particle level thinking. Our bodies are mainly water, and so the quality of your water is important. A lot of the drinking water in the world is tainted. We are in a water crisis. There's so much poison in our water system. And then we're resorting to drinking out of plastic. So there's a serious problem here. This perchlorate is the same kind of product you'd see in like warfare industries, working with aerospace companies and fireworks. PFAS are usually what's used to coat a non-stick pan that we cook our food in, and then we're scraping the bottom of it and receiving in those chemicals, and they block our immune cells. Remember, our endocrine system is tied to the immune system, the nervous system. Phytoestrogens, these can be found in like soy products, certain nuts, tofu, something that should be healthy for us. Again, we are in a tainted world. PBDEs, these are flame retardants that are found in like the furniture that we're sitting on and putting our head into, and breathing in the pillow, breathing in those chemicals right into the nervous system. Now we have a systematic imbalance, It's also found in carpets. Triclosan is found in antibacterials such as soaps. A lot of our products that we're putting on our skin to wash ourselves have these chemicals, which then clog the endocrine system in some way. Your immune system, your respiratory, your circulatory, your reproductive system. Remember, it's all interconnected. Okay, so that's a lot of information. I want to leave this off on a positive note. What can we do to bring a change? Stay educated. Okay, this is not going to be an overnight process. Okay, you don't want to ever do anything in the extreme direction, right? You don't want to be hyper religious, because then you're, more likely in a cult and ran by fear and not truth. But it's the same for anything. You don't want to be hyper eating. You don't want to be overeating, because then you're going to be blocked up and take in all of these chemicals. So we need to stay at balance. Take baby steps, one foot in front of the other. Maybe make a choice and say, you know what? I'm going to take out all the plastic containers in my house, and I'm going to make a switch to glass containers. This is safer for me and my family. There you go. Applaud yourself. Pat yourself on the back. We don't want to do everything at once, because that's extreme. One foot in front of the other will lead to continuous healthy habits. Building, just like we build relationships, we build healthy boundaries, we build healthy conscious decisions that help impact our bodies in a positive direction. Maybe one day you say, you know what? I'm going to make a switch from plastic bags using a cloth bag, something that's sustainable. The universe will pay you back from that. You will receive prosperity for working with Mother Earth, for working with the forces and spirit and energy of the universe that are of love, which want the best for you, which want you to heal and stay away from those man-made, lower energy, low vibrational chemicals that cause cancer and disease. A lot of the hormones and antibiotics that we're eating in our meats also go into our bodies, our bloodstream, and disrupt our system. So you could maybe make choices to maybe see a local farmer for your produce, for your family, the produce and meat, or choose organic, free range. Think about eating a cow that's manufactured in a plant, spending its entire lives in a little small, dirty crate and cage, in fear, no real life, no love. I mean, it's an animal too. People don't really regard it in that way, but there's hormones produced by the system, and that cow is in fear, and that cow has tumors, and because of the fear and the feed that it's given to, so it's big and can make profit for somebody and feed our masses, as we love to just eat tons of meat. So maybe making choices where there's less antibiotics in your meat products, maybe something that's free range that doesn't harm an animal, and you're not taking in that fear in the meat, taking in the antibiotics in the meat. Of course, eating plant-based is a great choice for the body. We can get all of our protein, essential vitamins, and minerals from plant-based diets. Choosing organics are great. Choosing cruelty-free products are great. Being mindful of what you put on your skin, what products you're putting on your skin, making sure it's toxic-free, cruelty-free, and free of a lot of these toxins that really block up our pores and seep into our bloodstream. Another thing is to be mindful of what aerosols you're spraying in the house. Your hairspray, spraying air freshener throughout the house is just directly spraying cancer-causing particles all throughout your home. Have a raised awareness. It can cause a cognitive dissonance when you know that this is good for you, but you don't do it. Spray the aerosols in your house, especially if you have children. If you're struggling with infertility, look at what products you're putting on your skin, you're spraying, what you're touching, and then also what you're consuming in. Another tip I'll say is to make sure you're cleansing out your system. You're removing heavy metals, or you're removing toxins from your system through your intuitive eating, through tonics, through herbal tonics, detoxifying tonics, organics, and holistic natural foods will help your body to process because of the vitamins and minerals, and also because of the cleansing and detoxifying process. Stay mindful of what you're coming into contact with within your body and outside, and be sure that you're just putting that effort in towards mindfulness, and eventually there will be a huge change. When you're trying to self-heal, you want to look at your spirit and energy, whether it's the energy of a toxin or the energy of the objects near you. Stay mindful, and I would love to give you a medical intuitive reading. You can find me at jojoempathic.com. Visit jojoempathic.com for more information. I recently came out with a course called Ancient Wisdom that dives deep into the laws of energy to help assist you with raising your consciousness and your ability to connect with your higher mind and self for self-healing, for body scans. This is our time in this awakening to reset these man-made particles and get more back into a natural way of living for sustainability and longevity. Thank you very much.